So you are looking live at Speak On It. I am Taman. We have Dom. We have Biv. Um, and we have a lot to get to today. Anyone want to say some words before we get into it?
Jam packed, man. It was a jam packed weekend. First football
I s-
season. First football weekend of the season. I'm ready.
I'll say this. How about them Cowboys?
Oh man, he's starting
hey,
already.
hey, listen. I do want to apologize. No, I ain't gonna apologize yet. Not yet. I ain't not yet.
So we got to Speak On It. Football Pick'em. And week one, we have Dom in the lead
No, week two. Oh, you talking about for the first week?
for the first week. Yeah,
Okay.
for the first week. I don't know if we've tallied up the second week as of yet.
Yeah, I got it. I
You
titled it.
got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got the updated. What's the updated? What's the
We got
updated?
me and Biv. We got me and Biv both tied 9-7,
Okay.
and you 10-6.
Oh wow, did not know that. That's a surprise. So we found out all together. So from your
That
picks,
BYU game.
which one do you felt like you want to take back from week one or week two?
Well, week one, I said it in the chat. I could have swore I picked Arizona, so I thought I picked Arizona week one. Um, and week two, um, I think it was the one I wish I probably would take back. I don't think I would take any of them week two back because they all I felt good about all of them,
Hmm.
and even down to the very last second. Yeah, I mean, like it's some crazy stuff happened. You know what I mean? So week two, I wouldn't. Week two, I wouldn't take any of them back. But week one, I thought I picked Arizona.
Um, I like to take back that Green Bay. I would like to take that back. Shout out to the Vikings that handle their business. Ooh, Green Bay might be in
Listen.
for a long season, man.
We've been telling you 2 years for about Aaron Rodgers, man. I don't know when you just gonna come over on this bandwagon.
I had to believe. I had to see it to believe it. What about you, Bev?
Week one, I I literally was going back and forth on the FSU LSU game, but I went with LSU, even though my heart was saying FSU. Um, that's really the only one from week one. Week two, however, I was about to change my pick to the Raiders from the Chargers, and then at the last minute, I was like, "Nah, I'm gonna stick with the Chargers." So week two, I don't have any regrets. I think we probably get into it a little later, but I didn't wish I could change any of the week two
I
picks.
think I think we all have one regret because we all picked Florida to beat Kentucky.
Yeah.
And that's the one that I was gonna get into. Like I don't think that Kentucky is more talented than Florida. I just think they made enough plays to win the game versus Florida. Richardson was nowhere near what we thought he was going to be. If he plays the way he's supposed to, they win the game.
I, I again, I don't want to get too deep because I know we're gonna do. I know we're gonna do the recap, but I don't know what Florida's coaching was doing. Don't know.
Man, some of those we can get into it a little later. I'm watching the game and I'm like, man, he conceded. He quit with those fourth down calls late in the fourth quarter. Like in a one possession game, you're going forward on fourth and more than five, and you're inside, and you're all basically already in your red zone. Like, why? What are you doing? Like, why are you calling that? Why are you just punting the ball? Your defense has been great all night. Like, I know they was hard stuffing around, but they wasn't. It wasn't like Kentucky was just running down the throat and scoring touchdowns.
That was definitely a good game. I'm definitely not understanding what Florida was thinking. But I mean, now you got Kentucky 2-0, and Florida. I mean, you had a big win against Utah the week before, and you got Kentucky. You normally don't lose to Kentucky, and you lose in the swamp. It's definitely something that they're going to have to definitely regroup. Um, but other than the Florida Kentucky game, there was a lot of other exciting things happening in the sports world. Um, the U.S. Open. The U.S. Open. We have Francis TFO, who made it to the semifinals,
Hmm.
if I'm not mistaken, and Coco Golf. She made it to the quarterfinals. There was another young lady from the Americas that made it far as well. What was your thoughts on the U.S. Open, or did you watch it at all? Did
I
you
was gonna
tune
say
in?
full disclosure, man. I didn't watch it.
It's okay. Did you see any highlights? Was you impressed? 'Cause I
I
know it came
didn't.
across
I
the
didn't really
ticker.
watch. Didn't really see any of the highlights. When you posed that we was actually going to talk about it, I was like, U.S. Open, man. I had to go back and try to do some studying on it. So, but I didn't watch any of it. Just be honest with you.
Same
I
same
thought
sentiments, Biz.
I thought TFO was impressive. It was a great run um, by an American. Other than that, it is what it is with tennis. So you probably, just like most people, you watch it for the stars. You know what I mean? You watch Serena, you watch Nadal, you watch Jokic. You know what I mean?
Right.
Djokovic. You know what I mean? You watch the stars. So, but to see TFO make that run, he was the furthest. He was the last American as far as the men's side. I know. I'm not sure about the women's side. I know he was definitely less American for the men's side. So it was a great run for him. It was exciting to watch. I didn't watch all of his matches, but I did catch a little bit of the match that he ended up losing.
Yeah, I tuned in a little bit for the simple fact that for one, like when Serena was playing, it got me locked in, and then I kind of wanted to watch a little bit more. Um, and seeing the Americans go far, especially what's his name, TFO and golf, it brings excitement. It one thing that you've seen in the crowd is that like it when Serena was playing, it was packed, and it wasn't like that for everybody else. So who's going to be that next big star from America that can break through? Um, and hopefully one of these two can do it. But let's move on to something that's not as so foreign to us. So speak on it. The NBA Hall of Fame
Hmm.
got Manu Ginobili. Notable names. We're not going to name everyone, but notable names: Manu Ginobili, Tim Hardaway, Swin Cash, Lindsey Whalen, and Bob Huggins.
Um, like you said, a lot of notable. I feel like a lot of notoriety there, but for me, what I put down for almost all of them is overlooked. Um, Not so Manu because we know what Manu is European internationally. We know what he is. Yeah, I mean to the sport basketball, but he wasn't on the top 75, and a lot of people thought that he should have been on the top 75. I think he's one of the greatest six men of all time, and I think he brought a certain flair to the NBA that a lot of people don't know he brought that type of flair. Like we were talking about the Eurostat. A lot of people using the Eurostep. A lot of the flashy stuff that you see in a lot of guards do, um, incorporating a lot of the European things into their game. A lot of that came from Manu.
Dominique had that Euro step. They called it a walk.
He wasn't European. He couldn't introduce it into his
I'm glad that I mean Run TMC, Tim Hardaway, Mitch Richmond, and Chris Mullin. They had a high impact offense. Unfortunately, they couldn't win a championship. Um, but Tim Hardaway has played on some very good teams. Um, All Star. He's well known for his crossover. Um, Ginobili was, like you said, he gave a special flair in a sense, especially being picked in the second round, 50-something pick, coming in and doing what he did. Lindsey Whalen, as well as Swing Cash, making the impact that they did on the WNBA, even on the collegiate level, just for women's basketball in general. Um, and Bob Huggins, he's to me a very good coach.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wish that Kenyon Martin didn't get hurt that one year that he had with Cincinnati, if I'm not mistaken. Was he the coach? He was the coach, right?
Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That was the team to be reckoned with, man. But
Yeah, they probably won a national championship.
I would definitely concur and agree with that. But I don't see any debate on here as far as Hall of Famers. I
Mm-mm.
don't.
A couple things I put down is, of course, Tim Hardaway overrated. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of times when we talk about crossovers, handles, and everything like that, smaller guards, his name don't get brought up. But the most outside of Kyrie, to me, the most compact crossover, like having on the yo-yo, was Tim Hardaway.
Timmy.
Yeah, I mean, um, I put a comp next to the two WNBA players.
Hmm.
I put Swim Cash. I put Tim Duncan next to her. Not flashy, just know how to win. And then we talk about, we look at the championships and when she won. Tim won 03, she won 03. Tim won 05, she won 06. Tim won two. I think no, Tim didn't go to 2007, and she won 2010. So I just think the way that her NBA kind of mirrored Tim Duncan's. She wasn't always known or thought of as the best player in the WNBA. Just like I think sometimes Tim Duncan gets overlooked, not being thought of as the best player in the in the NBA. But I think just the way she went about it, fundamentally sound, playing for those Detroit teams, she was solid. Um, and I just think like yeah, Lisa Leslie and the Sparks, who I probably thought of like Shaq. But for her, she kind of sort of remind me a little bit of Tim Duncan. And then I put Lindsey Whalen because a lot of times we don't talk about Lindsey Whalen. I know we just did our top 15 WNBA players, um, and there's a lot of point guards on there, a lot of guards on there, and Lindsey Whalen don't really get mentioned a lot of times in that same breath with the DTs. Yeah, I mean with the Sue Birds, stuff like that. But she got four. She got four WNBA championships, and to do it in Minnesota. And I think
Yeah,
a lot of times they don't talk about that her on that Minnesota team because that Minnesota team was stacked, but she was a catalyst. She was a catalyst for that
yeah,
for those championships.
yeah, definitely. And then coming from the University of Minnesota as well,
Mm-hmm.
sort of thing. What's your thoughts, Biv?
Um, when I first heard the list, I was like, wow, it's a really good class. Um, I don't have any objections with anybody. As you was talking about Lindsay, and you talking about comparisons, you know, you can stay right with the Spurs and Tony Parker. You know, what I mean,
But Lindsay,
always always had other guys on his team that were, you know, people viewed as better, but they don't they don't accomplish what they accomplish without Tony. The same way Minnesota doesn't accomplish what they accomplish without Lindsay. Um, as far as Manager Ginobili goes, I just think about that 2004 Olympic run and how we had to create the Redeem Team in 2008. You know what I mean, to go and make up for what happened in '04. And there were superstars on that team in '04. They were, some of them were young, some of them were veterans, but I don't think people can name four other guys on that Argentina team that was with Manu.
Luis Scola.
You feel me? You feel me? I don't
I
think
was
people
thinking the
think
same thing.
four other guys that was on that team besides Manu. You know what I'm saying? So for him to accomplish what he accomplished, never ever needing the spotlight or wanting the spotlight, willing to go and become what Dom said as arguably the greatest six man of all time, and playing behind guys that he knew he was better than, but for the betterment of the team, he was willing to sacrifice and come off the bench. So this was a really good class. I feel like all are deserving, and just congratulations to all of them.
I got a question for y'all. Talking about Manu, do y'all think he made the six man the six man of the year award like sexy? Like he made it relevant. Because when I think about, I know there were six men before, but it's like when Manu did it because, like Biff said, we know he was better than the person that he was starting at behind. Um, and for him to actually embrace that role, it's like he made it sexy. Like he made it so like okay, Jamal and Lou and all them like okay, I can come off the bench and I can do what Mano doing. Mano sacrificing. All right, coach, I want to be the sixth man.
I'll say he at least made organizations view the necessity of having a guy that comes off the bench that could be a superstar. I feel like after him, most teams were looking for a guy, basically a six starter
Yeah,
on their team. I believe before it was, you know, you're the best player off the bench. You're gonna be the first guy off. But then I think Manu made GMs and organizations say, hey, you know, if we can find a superstar to come off the bench, then we're in a really good place. So I do think I will agree with you that he did kind of make that I guess you could say role
I'm
very
gonna have
nice.
to get our statistician on this, but if I'm not mistaken, I think he is the first six man to be an all star. If I'm not mistaken, but I do think Lou made it as an all star, but I also think Lou started a lot of the season.
Well, it was definitely a good class. I think that we would all agree. Um, Speaking of good class, there was class on Saturday for college football, and there was a class of upsets and close calls. Very interesting week. Um, let's start off with Alabama and Texas.
I was almost right.
He was almost right.
Man, you were right.
Texas was a 20-point underdog at home, and the quarterback Ewers got hurt, sprained his what clavicle.
Yep.
Um, the second string quarterback can't think of his name off the top of my head,
Uh,
but he did a pretty decent job. But you got a roughing penalty call that or not call or whatever the case may be. With that, the safety, not safety, all of that controversy, and you got a 2019 point game. What's your thoughts, fellas? Alabama roll tide.
I would say they rolled. They kind of drizzled, or what I mean, dribbled, but they didn't roll. Um, for me, I think this was more about Texas and not Alabama. I think this was about Texas just continuing to compete. And I mean, I said it in the chat. We've seen Texas have these type of games in September before. They play teams tough, and then they'll come out and drop games to teams they ain't got no business dropping games to. So going forward, I'm looking to see how they build on this type of performance. But to me, I felt like this is who Alabama is now. They're not. They're gonna roll teams that they're supposed to roll, but against stiffer competition, that it's gonna be a dogfight. I don't see Alabama just rolling through people anymore. I believe they have come back to the pack.
Mm.
I think some of the refs were paid in that Alabama game. Uh, I mean, again, we could just talk about two of the controversial calls. Um, One, it was a pass interference in the end zone um, on the drive that Ewers got injured. Two of
Mhm.
them didn't get called. Um, then we're talking about the safety that wasn't called. Well, it was called a roughing the passer. Then it wasn't called a roughing the passer. Then it wasn't a sack. It was, in my opinion, if you throw the ball when you're in the grasp and the ball doesn't go, if the ball goes to the sideline and out of bounds, that's either intentional grounding, it's something, but it's not for a pass and it's not a like it has to be some kind of penalty that's called there. Um, so I think that was a blown call. There was a couple of pass interference calls that was blown. Um, yeah, it was just a lot of bad. It was a lot of bad calls that was missed. Um, but the reason I picked Texas to actually upset Bama is what Biff said. I don't think this team is impressive. Like you have the two stars on both sides of the field, both sides of the ball, and Bryce Young and Tim Anderson or Will Anderson. Other than that, I'm not impressed with their secondary. I'm not impressed with their linebackers. I'm not impressed with a lot of what Bama has, and that's why I think other teams will catch up. And I don't think looking for in the first 2 weeks, I don't think Bama is four of the best teams in college football. I just don't think so.
Alabama has been riding on their reputation for a very long time, and quote the Biv that they've came back to the pack. I think that in this situation, in this environment, it was huge for Texas. For one, as far as going to the SEC, you're showing that the biggest dog or one of the biggest dogs you can compete with. Um, and for two, recruiting, like you guys have championed for a very long time, that this is going to have it to where guys in Texas stay in Texas and the talent stays home. It makes them more competitive. So, I mean, I went more so with reputation when I picked it, and it was a very winnable game for Texas. Um, but unfortunately, Texas did not come out with the win. Neither did Texas A&M or
Hmm.
Appalachian State at home as well. Jimbo Fisher, what's going on in Aggie Land?
The most, the most upsetting head coach in college football because it's like you want to crown him. Like,
Mhm.
okay, Jim, it's time to take that next step. I saw what you did against Bama. I saw what you did against whoever, and then you lost to who? Jim,
Appalachian
you,
State.
Jim, you just beat Alabama last week, and then
Appalachian State.
like he it's like he gets up for the big games, but the games that he should win, I also think maybe he just can't recruit.
They got the number one recruiting class this
I
year.
know, but listen, he ain't recruiting the right people or something. It's like he he has great recruiting class. I'm not gonna say he can't recruit. It, it, Either you can't recruit, you can't coach. It has to be that. You can't recruit or you can't coach, or you're not putting these number one recruiting classes in the position to be successful. Every year, bro, you're in the top 5, top 10. And some reason, like, you just find a way to mess it up.
Texas A&M is now Florida State. It's as simple as that. You know, you're gonna have top recruiting classes. People are gonna look and be like, oh my gosh, there's just so much talent on the field. But why can't they get over the hump? He broke through the 1 year with Jameis, and that was it. Other than that, Jimbo Fisher's teams have always been missing something, and you don't know what it is because it's the coach. That's
He can't get a
it's just
quarterback.
it's just that simple. It's just that he had quarterbacks at Florida State, and he still couldn't win.
Yeah.
You know, like, and now you're in the SEC where at Florida State you beat Clemson in the regular season and you take care of business, you're at least guaranteed to go to the ACC championship. Now you're in the SEC West, brother. You gotta hope LSU is down. You gotta hope Auburn is down. Alabama ain't going down. They might come back, but they're not going down. So he's in a position where every year he almost has to be perfect. And you can't slip up against an Appalachian State, especially on the same week when the bigger school in your state goes toe to toe with Alabama and loses basically on controversy. That's not a good look. That wasn't a great week for Jimbo.
Not at all. I think that uh, if Appalachian State would have beat North Carolina, they probably would have been ranked.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean, that to me was the epitome of college football. Um, you have a team that, I mean, goes on the road in SEC land, and you got this big school and reputation and whatnot. You go there to get 1.5 million for your school, and you actually come out with a win. Um, and it helps the underdog. Trust me, I was as a fan in that position several years ago when they came in the big house and beat Michigan. So I definitely understand how Texas A&M fans are feeling right now. Um, and you just feel like somebody took your heart out, especially when you lose to a team that you really feel like you should have beat. Um, how do you think that a team that you should have beat in your home stadium, the Golden Dome, the Golden Domers, and Marcus Freeman go in? It was in Ohio State, was competitive, and now you lose to Marshall at home, and Marcus Freeman is going too.
Notre Dame, like, we should have paid Brian Kelly whatever he asked for. That's why how they feeling like, bro. We played tough against Ohio State in the first game, and then we struggled again. And it wasn't like a struggle. Let's be real. Like, Marshall dominated that game. They dominated that game.
Y'all thought they played well against Ohio State? I thought Ohio State played terrible, and that was the only reason it was a close game.
Probably, but
I wasn't
either
impressed
way,
with
it was
Notre
a
Dame
close
week one.
game.
I wasn't impressed with Notre Dame week one. I didn't think they was going to lose to Marshall. Not at home. I didn't think they were going to lose, but I didn't expect them to roll because I'm not impressed with Notre Dame. I'm not gonna say I've never been impressed with Notre Dame, but it's been a very long time since I've been impressed with Notre Dame.
I've never been really impressed with Notre Dame. I think again they are reputational rankings. Um, I just think that they got that ranking because of who they are. There was nothing impressive about them last year, and then they lost their best player last year. And then they lost their quarterback. They lost their running backs.
They lost the coach.
They lost their coach. It's not. I mean, they got Michael Mayer, and what else?
They,
I'm yeah, just not impressed. Yeah, I mean, so um, maybe it's a big upset because what people view them as, but I just wasn't impressed with Notre Dame as a team. Even last year, I wasn't impressed with them as a team.
I mean, I definitely understand that not being impressed with them, but this is a game that you're supposed to win, that you put on the schedule to get the crowd hype, home opener and whatnot, shake off the rust. You know what I mean? Like Marshall is a middle of the pack. Well, was supposed to be a middle of the pack team in their conference. So you as Notre Dame at this big program, you're expected to do much based off of the talent that you've recruited. Like if you look at the talent on paper, I guess it should pan out. But one thing that I said in the chat is that transfer portal,
Mm-hmm.
their transfer portal is something, and they had a lot of transfers on that Marshall team, and I know that helped propel them, especially in that big moment. But it's definitely a big moment for the Marshall program, and especially their coach. I think this is his second year, so for him, that's I think their second win uh, against a top 10 team or whatever. So that's historic in the Marshall program.
And the
Um,
coach is from Ridgely, Maryland, man. Shout out to Caroline County, man.
hey, there it is. Shout out to Caroline County. Wow, that is all the hey man. Eastern Shore, Eastern Shore stand up.
Hmm.
I tell you, one place that won't stand up is Wisconsin. Wisconsin and Washington State. Wisconsin was favored to win in Wisconsin, and Washington State has had a reputation here lately in the present of being one of the lower level teams in a soft, quote unquote, Pac-12. What's happening in Badgerland?
It's simple. Wisconsin has a formula,
Yep.
and that formula is ground and pound and play really, really good defense. And if they can't do either one of those things, they're going to be in for a long year. So if they can't run the football or they can't stop somebody from running the football or throwing a pigskin all around the field, they're going to make it's going to be a long year for them. They're not getting superior athletes at Wisconsin. So
They
I'm not
stuck in
I'm
that.
not really shocked.
They stuck in the early 2000s, 2010s. Remember when Bama was winning ground and pound defense?
Yep.
They was winning championships. Bama also realized the times, and they switched up what they do. You know them now more for their offense as opposed to their defense. And Wisconsin is stuck, like Biff said, stuck in that formula. It's not. It doesn't work. People pick y'all every year, rank y'all every year, and maybe they just comfortable with being middle of the pack, top 25 team. But no, nobody's picking them to win anything ever
Yeah.
because of the formula that they have.
Except for the Big Ted West.
Maybe
That's it. That's the only
Maybe.
thing you pick it up. That's the only thing you're
Yeah,
gonna pick up to win.
yeah. I was shocked as a Big Ten fan, um, because it's Washington State, and this is where like this weekend. Yeah, I know it was a lot of upsets and whatnot, but it really made me think like, yo, for one, this transfer portal is just like amazing because you got JT Daniels at his third school. Like, how does that happen? For one, and for two, like you have it to where now all of these guys are going different places and whatnot, and you really got to actually see who's on the roster.
hmm
And it's not necessarily based off of the reputations anymore. Like you said, the ground and pound, Wisconsin. I mean, they've had a plethora of different good running backs come through there. Um, but at the same token, like you're going to have to adjust to the times. And I think that a lot of different, like you said, the good programs and whatnot have adjusted to making sure that they have that 4 to 5 to 6, 7 star quarterback or whatever to throw the ball or to do a run pass option or whatever the case may be, where they have pro style type running game, no matter who is the coach. And it's like, bro, what is, I don't know.
I
This
know we're
is
talking about. I know we're talking about the upsets, but I do want to say something about the transfer portal since we brought it up. If you are a big program who usually couldn't recruit that big time quarterback or a good quarterback, you have no more excuse.
yeah.
There's no more excuse that we can't get them because we don't have pipelines to that. Like I'm seeing quarterbacks like you said, JT Daniels, like Emory Jones and as Arizona State, um, Jaden McDaniels at LSU. Like LSU couldn't get quarterbacks.
Hmm.
Like Arizona State, you couldn't get quarterbacks. The Penn States, who you think couldn't get quarterbacks, there's no excuse for you not to be able to get a quarterback because the Bamas, all these other quarterbacks, top, they're gonna have 5 star quarterbacks sitting on the bench who might not get playing time, and you can just say, "Hey, listen, just come." I don't know how the transfer portal work. I don't know how you can tamper or anything like that, but like there's starting positions for 5 star recruits on winning programs. Wisconsin, it's time to give it the times. Like you can find the quarterback in the transfer portal and wide
Yeah, man.
receivers.
I was getting ready to say, and skill guys, man. And you can get skill guys. Also, to me, weather is no more a play in that factor. Guys do not care. They will go and play in the cold weather up north, even if they're a country kid, even if they're a southern guy that's used to the heat. They'll go up north and play. So, like you said, there's really no excuse for not being able to get the guys that you need in order to be successful, whether that be through recruiting or through the transfer portal at this point.
Since we're talking about upsets, right? You're talking about weather kids. Keaton Slovis, USC guy, transferred to Pitt.
All right.
Like but Biv just said, it ain't about the weather or anything like that. People want to go where they gonna play.
Yep,
That's a fact. That's a fact.
yep.
College football is definitely interesting. And like you said, people are going to go where they're going to play. And on Thursday night in the NFL, the Rams did not come to play as they lost to the Bills. As we brought in the NFL season, Bills looked like who we thought they were, and the Rams. Y'all got any thoughts? I don't
I know
want to
you
be
was
biased.
I know you was excited. I know you was excited.
Yeah, I was happy.
Yeah,
I
he was
mean,
Um,
excited. He was excited until about 4 o'clock Sunday.
nah, I'm still excited because listen, if the Seahawks lose, then we all lost. We all
everybody
0-1.
lost. Yep.
So
Um, my thoughts on the Rams is a couple things, right? Uh, them losing Whitworth showed heavy. Them losing Von Miller showed heavy.
Hmm.
Them losing Odell Beckham, and maybe the Odell Beckham thing is not that big if you actually utilize your other number one receiver. You have another number one receiver, you just don't look his way.
But
Also,
they need a guy that can take the top off.
got yeah,
Allen Robinson is just a bigger Cooper Cup. Like
yeah.
he's more of a possession guy. Even though I'm with you, you do got to target him more than freaking 2 times. Um, but they do need that. They do need somebody like Odell that can take the top off.
I do think they do need that, but I also think you can't be so Cooper Cup reliant.
Absolutely.
And I get it. That was the formula last year that won y'all championship. But you think people not going? Well, clearly they ain't gonna key in on Cooper Cup. He had 13 catches for whatever. But maybe it's like they take a basketball approach. Okay, Coop, get off. We ain't gonna let nobody else. We know Matt ain't gonna go nowhere else.
You can get yours, Mac, especially when you can't run the football.
Right.
So Cooper, you can go ahead and have 13 for $150 and a touch. If Cam and Henderson gonna combine for 12 carries for 6 yards.
Yeah. I
You know what I'm
also think
saying?
they started the wrong running back.
Mm. Sean McVay, where are you at?
I
Need
also
to
think that they're satisfied.
Yeah.
that
Everybody
hunger's
got what
gone.
they everybody no, I don't think they're hungry. Aaron Donald was contemplating retirement.
That's a
Right.
fact.
And
You know what
listen,
I mean? How hungry is he really?
if we keep it 100, I'm with you, Biv. We ain't seen Jalen Ramsey get beat like this ever.
I don't think they're hungry no more. I think they got one. It was week one, ring celebration, everybody up, feeling good. You know what I mean? And they had the wrong team on the schedule. That team's on a mission. The
Yeah,
Bills are on a
Yeah, they on the
mission.
mission. Yeah, that was the wrong team to go
That was
to
the
open up ring
wrong
night.
team to have that night because there you go in there, it's ring night, and they're like, "Yo, this should be us.
This should be us.
This should be us getting. They should be coming to us. They should be in Buffalo right now,
Yep.
giving us our rings. So we're gonna ruin their night." And that's what they did. And I just don't think the Rams were not flying around the football field. Even even Bobby Wagner was a step or two behind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was a step or two behind. I seen Singletary just come out of the backfield and just run routes right by him. Like Bobby Wagner was a step or two behind me. They just did not look hungry. I don't expect them
Listen,
to be like that all year, but I don't think they have that same hunger that they had last year.
I'm gonna tell you
And I
what's.
think,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I'm gonna tell you what's scary about the Bills and what they did is I don't think early on the Bills they started playing better a little later on,
Mhm.
and they didn't have their best corner. It's like that team gonna be scary,
Yeah.
and they got a dog at. To me, you go as far as your QB goes, and they got to do that quarterback. Like he's great, but he's like a a linebacker playing quarterback, a running back playing quarterback. He can
yeah,
beat you from the pocket, and he's gonna stiff arm you. He gonna stiff arm linebacker. He took on Bobby Wagner.
And I was
He
gonna say
stiff
he
arm
dragged Bobby to the end zone.
right. He stiff armed the heck out of one of them corners. Like
He
you
was
said,
the
they on a
he
mission.
was their leading rusher again.
yeah.
Again, he was their
With Jalen
leading rusher.
Ramsey,
And
people
Jalen
been questioning
Ramsey.
you already, bruh. I ain't one of them. I still think you the best, but bruh, they said, man, my man, they had a perfect passer rating when they target Jalen Ramsey.
Hey man, players mess up.
Perfect passer rating.
Players mess up,
A
man.
mess up.
Um, I definitely agree that the Rams that night was foggy. Uh, it was one of those. Can I get one of those game back? But it's a regular season. It is what it is. Like you said, like both of you guys said, the Bills are on a mission. They definitely showed like they was on a mission. And the Rams, it seemed like they need to figure it out real quick. And one team that I felt like was kind of figuring it out. They did better than they did last year in the same position. Was the Detroit Lions, even though they lost to Dom's Philadelphia Eagles. Um, I like the fact that we all said that they were going to be feisty, and they were. Um, they were to me they were like never really out of the game, but I still felt like the Eagles was just going to end up winning. It's just that they're going to give teams a run for their money, but they're going to lose to the teams that they're supposed to lose to and possibly win the games that you are like 50-50 on. So what you guys take on the Eagles Lions game?
Um, I didn't think that we thought that they were going to be that physical. Um, and like you said, they fight. They feisty. Uh, almost all everybody in that offensive line is feisty. And I was saying this to some of the people that's in my Eagles chat. That offensive line is a top 5 offensive line in the NFL. I think they got like 3 Pro Bowlers on that offensive line, so that's the identity of their team. But they follow the lead of their coaching staff. Aaron Glenn is feisty. Deuce Staley's feisty. Like Dan Campbell feisty. So I like what I saw out of the Lions.
Did they scare you a bit?
I'm just glad we got the dub.
I was going to say.
I'm scared. No, because like we saw at we were the most talented team, the more talented team.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't scare me. We was up 17. I just felt like we got lax at certain points. But
Yeah.
when we needed to put our foot on their neck, like I knew we was gonna do it. But they feisty though.
Yeah, I don't see them being a team that's gonna ever quit. Like even if they're being blown out, you're gonna earn it. But like Dom said, there's just talent. There's just a talent gap at certain places that they're missing, and that's gonna be their downfall. As far as the Eagles are concerned, just get your dub.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just walk out of there with the win like you're supposed to, regardless of how it looked. And you know what I mean, lick your wounds and on to the next week for the
And
Eagles.
listen, I think Detroit had their first sellout in like 7 years. Like they was up for that game. So they came
Hey, man,
they came to fight.
they definitely came to fight. The takeaway that I got is I need the Eagles to improve more on their run defense. I've seen a lot of 7, 8, 9 yard gains. But you said that they had some Pro Bowls on the front line, so that was the only thing that was like had me, I ain't gonna say shaky, but just more so I knew that the Eagles were gonna win. That was just the one concern if I was the Eagles fan would have been, okay, what do I see coming from that front seven? But
That I give you that. I said it during the game. It's time to move on from certain players. Um, Jordan Davis, our first round pick defensive tackle, when he
mhm,
was in the game, they averaged 2.9 yards per carry. When he was out of the game, they averaged 10 yards per carry.
mm.
Wow.
It's time to pass that torch.
Speaking of passing the torch, Jimmy G passed the torch to Trey Lance in Chicago in a muddy affair as Mr. Fields came away with a win in Chicago as the home underdog. Chicago Bears beat the 49ers 19-10. Um, you guys go first.
uh, Kyle Shanahan.
Hmm.
Kyle, he got to open up. He got to open it up. In my opinion, you got to open up the play. And it made me start questioning how good of a play caller he really is. Because when you got the talent that Trey Lance has, I know y'all was missing George Kittles, but y'all were playing a Detroit Lions team who was devoid of pass rusher. They lost pass rushers. They lost run stoppers. They lost corners. I know it was rainy. I know it was raining in Chicago, but you gotta learn how to, you gotta I think Trey only had like 17 pass attempts or something like that. You gotta open it up. If this is the guy that you turn your franchise over to, if you turn the franchise over to Trey Lance to still treat him like Jimmy Garoppolo, what was the point? What was the point? Right? What was the point?
Mm.
Because he can run?
My thing was, you know, given the conditions, I would have expected the 49ers ground game to be much more potent than it was. Um, I thought they were good defensively. I do agree with Dom. You know, if you're gonna get the keys to Trey, get the keys to Trey. Don't keep him on a leash. Get his growing pains out early. You know what I mean? To move on. And I felt like that was maybe not the perfect defense, but I thought it was a really good defense for him to get, you know what I mean, his feet under him for the year. I didn't think the Bears defense is going to be that great this year with all of the guys that they lost. So I thought that 49ers would go in there, regardless of the conditions. I know it was raining, but I thought 49ers would go in there and showcase Trey at his absolute best. And I didn't think that they did him any justice.
I thought that too. Um, I mean, the conditions had me a little like, yeah, when I first seen it. It's like, yo, you're first, like, yeah, you started games, but this is like where the season is all on you. And you come out in these types of conditions. But I mean, it's the NFL. You're playing what you're playing. And it was a lackluster performance by the offense. I still hate the fact that we use Debo that we do in the backfield. That might have been because Elijah Mitchell got hurt. Um, so that means we. One of the things that Dom alluded to was the play calling. Shanahan has been the one that seems like you can put whatever running back there, and they're going to produce. But now we were using our star wide receiver as a running back, in my opinion, way too much, to where it seems gimmicky. And um, I think that Trey does have a lot of potential. I just think that once the momentum shifted, he didn't really know how to get it back under control. And I think that that's a learning curve. Um, but I still think that it was just a perfect storm, in my opinion, for the 49ers to lose with all the conditions and the play and whatnot. And no discredit to the Bears. I mean, they came out, they won. Justin Fields won a home opener, so I know that's big for him and his confidence. And then winning the game, I mean, it's going to be big in the NFC North. Um, but speaking of the North, we can go to the
So I got a question
AFC.
for you real quick. I got a
Oh,
question for
sorry.
you real
Yep,
quick.
yep.
So I talked about Shanahan's play calling. In my opinion, everybody from underneath his tree look like they way better play callers than him.
Well, that's neither here nor there. We'll see what happens. Um, Joe Flacco plays against his old team of the Ravens, Dom's Ravens, and Dom's Ravens came out with a 24-9 victory. Not Dom's Ravens, Laura Bibb's Ravens.
No, they
No,
could
he
be
was
Dom's
right.
Ravens
He
too.
was right. He was right. Down
Uh,
Ravens.
Lamar Jackson said no to, I guess, 290 mil with 165, I think, guaranteed. He said, no, I want the whole thing guaranteed. And I still don't understand why they keep saying this man is not a passer. Granted, it was the Jets, but I mean, it's still the NFL. What you guys thought? So on the Ravens Jets,
I thought it was.
Nothing.
I thought it
nothing. It
was.
is what it
Yeah.
is.
I mean,
Yeah.
he did what I thought he was going to do. I thought he was going to rush for more, but the opportunity. I think he made an effort to not run to say I'm gonna destroy him from the pocket.
I thought that same thing.
He did put a move on their whole team. I was like, bruh.
Liv,
Nothing,
what's your thoughts?
nothing from that. I took nothing from that game.
It was nothing surprising.
I took nothing from that game. I felt as though defensively we would we would be dominant against Joe. I thought offensively we'd move the ball and score points, and that's what we did.
Well, there was definitely some shockingness in the NFC and the AFC North, I would say. A lot of stealing going on in Cincinnati as the Steelers stole 5 turnovers and stole a victory out of Joe Burrow's hands in Cincinnati. However, it looks like they're going to lose T.J. Watt to a torn pectoral muscle, which is because he, he and I seen a 2 play series where he got a sack. No, he got a tackle for a loss, and then got an interception. I was like, yo, he's a 1 man wrecking crew for real. And now he's the heart and soul of the Steelers defense is gone. But what's you guys' thoughts? Mike Tomlin got the win. He did the Adrian. I said the Adrian Lord. The
AB, the AB
AB.
dance.
Yeah, did the AB dance when we talk about Adrian Broner.
Um, the week before, I picked the Steelers as my surprise team. Right? I'm not surprised. Two things. I think the Bengals are going to come back to life. And I think the Steelers, until Mike Tomlin has a losing season, I'm just not going to bet against them. I think the report says that he can come back in 8 weeks. He'll be back in 8 weeks. If he can get out there and play, he gonna get out there and play. Um, so I'm not shocked that the Steelers did what they did to the Bengals. The Steelers, some way, somehow, bro, I saw them have a 8-8 record with Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph. So I'm not surprised when whatever Mike Tomlin does.
They're the Steelers, man. Like they're the Steelers. They they don't they find a way to win. Like Mitchell Trubisky is probably an upgrade from Ben. You know what I mean? At this point, in his career, Ben. So I'm not shocked with the Steelers. They just know that organization just knows how to win football games. You know, I don't think anybody is expecting Joe to turn the ball over 5 times, but again, that's the Steelers' formula. They just find ways to win football games, and you know, TJ's out. Now it's going to be another. Now Minka's going to step up and be making plays all over the field. Somebody will step up while he's gone and make plays for that defense. So I'm not shocked. I'm kind of with Dom. I think the Bengals is going to come back. I thought they had a magical run last year, and I think people are kind of putting too much on them this year based upon the run that they had last year in the playoffs, and kind of taking away from the fact that nobody expected them to go off and make that run that they made last year. So I think that outcome was kind of what this season would be for both teams. The Bengals are going to struggle, and the Steelers are just going to find ways to win football games.
Well, I know one team that struggled yesterday was the Patriots. Uh, they got struggled. They look like they on. I don't know what's going on with the offense. Um, I mean, the defense held the Dolphins to under 25. I guess so. That was good considering. I don't know, but Dolphins Patriots. It looked like what I thought was going to look like. What you guys thought?
It was all Tom. That's what I thought. Bill, Bill, in my opinion, is prideful. I'm gonna do it my way. I got 6 rings doing it my way. Why do you got Matt Patricia coaching your young quarterback?
I ain't got Matt Patricia coaching at all.
Period.
I don't get it. But that game again, I felt that game was just like the Ravens game. The Dolphins was going to move the football and score enough points to win, and the defense was going to get enough stops for them to win. Nothing really to take away from that. The Patriots aren't good. They're not good. It's just that simple.
I think Bill looking for another. Bill is looking for another Tom, and it doesn't have to be a quarterback. He just look. Bill has built to me a reputation on. I can take anybody and mold them. Look what I did with Tom Brady. Look what I did with Malcolm Butler. Look what I did with this guy. Look what I did with that guy. Bill, it's 2022, bro. You need talent. Yeah, you can coach, but
I still think when it comes to that argument with Bill and Tom, I think it's a tie. Just like the Colts and the Texans, it was a tie. What was your takeaway of the Colts and the Texans game?
Matt Ryan is not an upgrade.
To Carson, who Carson almost gave the game away too.
He almost did, but he pulled it out. He pulled it out. Matt Ryan is not an upgrade, bro. Carson Wentz beat the Jags, and y'all lost to the Texans or tied the Texans.
They lost. They lost to the Texans. They lost to the Texans, bro. They lost. Again,
What's shocking is that they still have a better record. They're tied for first with the tie because no one won in that
That's
division.
true. Yep, that's true.
I guess that's a silver lining.
That's the silver lining in it all.
Um, but boy, that division that division was terrible yesterday.
Which one of y'all picked the Colts to win the division?
I did.
I did.
You did too, Biv?
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be a rough. That's gonna be a.
It looked like it might only take 6 or 7 to get it though.
Yeah. From what I saw yesterday, the best team in that division probably the Texans.
Hey, I would not disagree with you. I wouldn't disagree with you at all. Would not disagree with you.
Shout out to Lovey Smith that's added a tie onto his record. What shocked me this weekend was the play of the Falcons, even though they lost going up against the Saints. Saints, hey, Jameis, all right. He not turning the ball over. He looked like famous Jameis from Florida State.
He almost
What you guys
lost
thought?
to the
Saints
Falcons.
Falcons game. It's the
He almost
Falcons.
lost to the Falcons.
I'm sorry. It was too much because the Falcons. Marcus Mariota had a good game.
Yeah. It looked like Marcus. In my opinion, I think Marcus outplayed. I think if you switch the teams, that's a route. It's a blowout, probably. It's a blowout. And the Falcons was dominating that game for most of the game. I think the Falcons in tank mode. So they was like, all right, you know what? All right, we just showed enough. Let's go ahead and get this game back over to the Saints.
My takeaway from that game is New Orleans found a way to win, in Atlanta, as usual, they found ways to lose. Um, I really would have picked the Saints to win the game if we was picking it, but at one point I thought that game was over.
Me too.
I'm not even gonna front. I stopped even looking at the updates on it because I was like, oh, that game's over. And then next thing you know, I looked. I think it was 24-26 or something. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa! When did this happen? And
Yep.
but
Michael Thomas came back, did his thing. So shout out to Michael Thomas, not
I
Jameis.
think I think the
You
Saints.
said
I think
not
the Saints
Jameis.
defense is better than they played, and I think the Falcons offense is better than we thought.
I said this. I think I said this beginning of season. The Falcons got two monsters. When they get the right, I don't know if Marcus Mariota is the right quarterback or not. But when they get the right guy, they got 2 6'5" and up monsters that can run. They can run routes. It's a mismatch nightmare. They just need another guy. They need a running back. Like they got some dudes on that team. Um, so I think the
What's name
Falcons
ain't
are heading
playing?
in the
What's
right
name
direction.
ain't playing right now, right? Calvin ain't playing, right?
Mm-mm.
Ridley, he's not
Nope,
playing
Mm-mm.
right now.
he's not even
No,
playing yet.
So yeah, that like I said, that offense is better than we thought. That offense is gonna be. I don't think we gave it the credit because we didn't know how good Marcus Mariota
Yeah, we know what they're
was
gonna
gonna be.
be.
But he looked good yesterday. So
another person that looked good yesterday in a familiar NFC East division would be Carson Wentz. He threw 4 touchdowns in a win against the Jaguars. Um, and Dom had a
he
comment
looked good.
about Trevor Lawrence, isn't it? So I guess you want to speak on it when it came to this game. So speak on it, good brother.
So Carson tried to get the game away. Let's be real. He tried to give away. But
Carson Wentz.
the only other guy in the NFL that don't want that don't like that likes to give away games more than Carson is Trevor Lawrence.
I was gonna say it's the guy that he was playing against. Yep.
I don't want it, Carson. You take it. That's what happened. That's what happened. Carson tried to get a game with Trevor Lawrence. They put the ball in his hand, Trevor Lawrence's hand, to go win the game, and he threw a bad pick.
Hot potato.
And the crazy thing is, in that draft, when he got drafted number 1, I think we did the show, and I was saying I just don't see I don't see the it with him. I don't see it. I don't see him as what everybody hyped him up to be. This prospect that the Andrew Luck or the Joe Burrow or the Justin. I just don't see that in him.
Um, when when I think about the hype that Trevor Lawrence had, I think about the hype of Todd Marinovich. Um, and that might be way past some of you guys' time. Well, not you guys, because I mean all you guys in the 30s, but he was a highly touted quarterback that thought that he was going to come in. I think he was drafted by the Raiders. He was this USC kid and had a lot of hype, Sports Illustrated, and all of that, and it didn't turn out well as he's not a household name. I'm hoping that's not the case for Trevor Lawrence. I think that Doug Peterson, I think, will get a hold of him. I think this might just be remnants of this just being, to me, still his rookie season and him figuring it out. I think he does have the skill set to play in the NFL. I think that with coaching and time, um, he'll be fine. Um,
I got a
but he,
question to ask both of y'all then, because a lot of stuff is about environmental and the team you
mhm,
go to.
mhm.
So do you think it's just the team, or because you say you think he can be a stud, you think he has NFL talent, which I do believe he does. But I think the great ones, they elevate teams, and you see it. Like even though Matt Stafford was on a terrible Lions team, you saw from the jump. Oh, he got it. He got it. I didn't see it. I didn't see it in Clemson.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. That's exactly what I was about to say. Um, Now I'm a believer in Trevor. You know what I mean? I believe that he can be a quality NFL quarterback. But the more I see him, the more I'm reminded of his time in Clemson, of where, yeah, he could dominate the teams that he was supposed to dominate, but when the talent around him wasn't as great and he needed to elevate himself, he wasn't consistent in doing so. And I believe that that is the case in Jacksonville. The guys around him aren't the best, and they need him as the quarterback to elevate everybody else around him, and he hasn't done that yet.
Well, one acquisition that a lot of people thought would elevate the team would be the acquisition of Devontae Adams with the Raiders. Um, he still was Devontae, but the Raiders lost to the Chargers. Justin Herbert looks as advertised, in my opinion. Um, and this, to me, just solidified that that division is going to be something to to look at this season. Because I don't think the Raiders was outplayed in the first half. And the second half, I mean, if you got the Chargers going to the Super Bowl, right?
Hmm.
And I could see that. And the Raiders aren't that far off. It's just that that division is stacked. Um, but what was your takeaway of the Raiders and Chargers game as the Chargers beat the Raiders in LA?
um, Overcompensation. You had an All-Pro slot corner last year, All-Pro tight end, and I feel like you overcompensate. You was Devontae heavy early on. You
But
was
he
Devontae
opened though.
heavy, huh?
He opened though.
He
He be
is
like
open.
wide open.
He was wide open, but you also isolate your other guys. Like on the interception, the one interception that it was deep. It was Devontae was double covered. I think all his interceptions came when he was trying to throw it to Devontae, like in double coverage. I think it was later on when they started getting back into the game when he was like, "All right, I'm gonna use Dan Waller. I'm gonna use Hunter Renfro."
I feel like I feel like that division, you can't make mistakes against each other.
Mhm.
You know, the turnover battle, because the talent between these four teams on paper, it's not that big of a gap.
Right.
So you can't make mistakes. You can't be turning the ball over multiple times. Like those things aren't gonna help you. But I also feel like the Chargers defense is just when it gets humming, it is gonna be really fun to watch. Khalil Mack, M. Bosa, and Derwin James, like that defense is gonna be really fun to watch. And then with Justin slinging it, I think the
J.C.
sky's the
Jackson
limit
didn't
for
play
the
yesterday.
Chargers. I think the sky's the limit for
You know what was exciting to watch? The Cardinals in the Chiefs game.
them.
Oh, okay, all right.
As a 49ers fan with the Cardinals in our division, this is uh, just division hate. Love to see when a division foe falls. Definitely wasn't expecting that type of performance. But Cardinals missing DeAndre Hopkins. My man, Kyler Murray just got paid. We got Mahomes. People saying that he can't do it because he ain't got Tyreek Hill no more. But that tight end that they got, Dotson, I think his last name is,
Yeah.
him and Kelsey might be a problem this year. But the Chiefs look like they they on a mission as well as they ran through the Cardinals in Arizona. What are you guys' thoughts?
Pump your brakes because I think that Cardinals team is dysfunctional. That Cardinals team is dysfunctional. That Chiefs that you can't name me a player on that Cardinals defense.
Buda Baker.
Buda Baker. That's JJ Watt wasn't there. Justin Simmons ain't been the guy. I mean, Isaiah Simmons ain't been the guy that we thought he was when he picked him. Like, who are the corners? Byron Murphy ain't really. They got a bunch of. Who's the pass rusher? I just say pump your brakes on the Chiefs. We're gonna see how legit the Chiefs are Thursday.
Yeah, definitely.
I told y'all before, man. Kyler Murray's gonna be playing baseball in a few years. Everybody keeps saying I'm crazy. I'm trying to tell everybody that this boy is gonna be playing second base for the A's. Um, no D Hop. How good is this? How good is this offense without him?
Mm.
In my opinion, bro, listen, no excuse, man. He got it. He went and they went behind Lamar back, cahooted to get play together. Ain't no excuse, man. You got your guy, bro.
Like they, I don't. The Cardinals, they are exactly who we thought they were. Okay, they're okay. That's it. They're just
Try-
okay.
What you say, tomorrow?
I said I try to tell you they just okay.
Yeah, I'm listen, bro. Listen, I'm listen. I'm about this close, and I'm lying. I'm already off the bandwagon, and I'm with Big man. My man Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray probably could be playing baseball in a couple years. Like he got his guaranteed money. I'm about to go out here
Oh
and
man.
play, like you said, play shortstop, bro. I ain't really
Yeah,
got to throw the
man.
ball. I probably got to throw the ball about 3 times a game.
I ain't gotta do no homework. I'm like, man, yeah, man, yeah, man. I'm out of here. I'm out of here, bro. I'm out of here. I ain't gotta take no poundings. Yeah, man. For what?
Yep, I'm out.
Well, there
And
was
the
definitely a
key.
team that looked like they didn't do their homework, which was the Green Bay Packers. They went to Minnesota and laid an egg, in my opinion, to a division foe. You guys have said on several occasions that you guys really think that Minnesota should be winning this division, especially with what Aaron has around him. And I mean, my man said, "Yo, Justin Jefferson, the best player in the league, bro." After he seen what he's seen,
Man,
he said, "I need help." That was code for "I need help."
that was code for I need a number one.
Yeah.
That's all that was. That was all that was.
You
That was
seen the
code
same
for
thing
I
I
need a
seen?
number one, especially when you throw the ball to your first round draft pick and he by himself and it go right through his hands. And
He said,
after that, the game was over.
That set the
After
tone.
that,
That set the tone.
the game was pretty much over. It was so bad that that coach was like, I have no confidence in my offense. We're gonna go for it on 4th and 1. Well, 4th and goal from the 1. That's how much confidence he had in his offense. He had none. He had zero confidence in that offense after that drive, and they showed.
Well, speaking of the picks, right?
mm-hmm.
They spent 2 first rounders on defense. Where were they?
Jair Alexander said that wasn't my fault.
No, listen, it's
He
not
said,
Jair fault. I
he
get it.
said, he said, listen, I don't make up schemes.
Yeah, man.
Where they put
I,
me, I play. They pay me to follow what he
Follow
say,
the number one.
and he told me be here and not there.
yep. I don't try. They don't. He don't travel.
He don't travel.
Not that
However,
it would have made a difference, but
right. I was about to say this, but
because if he travels with Justin, then that means Adam just get ready to get off.
and let's be real. Jair, Justin was an equal opportunist yesterday, bro. You was getting work too. Let's be real. Everybody was
Yeah,
getting work yesterday.
yeah, man. He was hiring everybody.
Like, it was like Green Bay didn't That was their best player. You don't know that was their best player?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um. So yeah, I mean, I really think that this is going to be a year that Lafleur, correct? That's Coach name.
Before, yep.
He's really going to have his work cut out for him. He can't just rely on Aaron Rodgers. Um, he's really going to have to do a good coaching job to make this team work the way that it needs to work. Speaking of coaching jobs, the head coach of the New York Giants got the what we say, the Man Up Award, as he went for two, and Saquon ran it in as they took away a win um, from the Titans, which I thought the game was. It looked like New York Giants last year, the first half, uh, and Saquon looks like 75% Saquon, and that's still scary to me. I've seen a couple times to where he was slowing down, but for the most part, like he was still that guy. And I think 75% Saquon is still like top running back in the league. So
If he's 75%, what does 100% look like? Boy had almost like 20 yards total offense yesterday. Bruh. It's only a matter of time before we see Malik, man. I'm gonna say that. It's only a matter of time before we see Malik.
And I told y'all, man, he gonna be this. I told y'all he'd be the starter before Halloween. He'd be the starter before Halloween.
mm,
Tannehill is not an NFL quarterback. He's not. He's not an NFL quarterback, and you're not gonna win because of him. But you are gonna lose because of him, and that's what you can't have at quarterback.
they found that out with those three interceptions in that playoff game.
Bruh. To me, that that game is almost as bad as the way the Bills lost. We beat the dogs out of Joe Burrow, and you gave the game away. If I'm the defense, I'm looking at Ryan Tannehill like, bruh,
Oh, he would have had to see me, bro.
facts.
He would have had to see me, bro. No, no doubt about that one. Yeah, he would have had to see me, especially if I was a defensive player. Like
Yes.
what else? Like what else am I supposed to do? Like nah,
Even
you gotta come see
yesterday,
me.
bruh.
You gotta come see me real quick.
Yesterday, the Titans defense was putting in work yesterday. Offense couldn't do nothing. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't the identity Derrick Henry? Why are we trying to make this a passing team?
Because you gotta
Mm,
justify. You gotta justify why Malik isn't starting.
yeah,
And if
you
you're gonna
paid
make it a
him
passing
the money.
team, go with the best quarterback on your team.
Mm,
I don't believe. I believe that was an organiz. I believe that was a front office pick
top.
and not a
I agree.
sideline pick.
I agree. He does not like Malik Willis.
Mike Vrabel don't want no parts of that. You feel me? I really do. I believe that that was a front office pick and not a sideline pick, and it's showing in the decision making.
Well, when they got front office picks, that might mean that it's a short leash for the head coach because
Absolutely.
the front office normally
You
wins.
better win. You better win with your guy, or otherwise
Definitely.
we'll bring in somebody else to coach the other one.
You can't lose to the Giants, who look
Nah, not
dysfunctional
opening
the
week.
whole first first half.
not not opening week. You will lose to the Giants after you 6-2, 7-1. Yeah, you could lose. You could drop a game to the Giants, but you can't lose to the Giants opening week.
Well, the Giants are now 1-0 and impose a winning record in an NFC East that's seen all but one team win, which will be the last game that we talk about. The Dallas Cowboys, who come away with a loss and an injured quarterback as Dak Prescott. possibly may need surgery or he may need surgery. So
Ain't
now
nothing
you
wrong
have
with it.
Cooper Rush and Will Greer as your quarterback options. And after the first drive of last night, it just seemed like the Cowboys disappeared, in my opinion. What you guys thoughts last night, Buccaneers and the Cowboys?
Amari Cooper. Dak took off when he got Amari. Dak
Hmm.
don't look the same when he don't got Amari. What's the name look like? He not ready to be that number one guy. It looked like Amari Cooper made everybody's job easier.
He did. He's one of the best
That's what
route
it looked
runners
like.
in the league, bro.
Everybody was at the role that they're supposed to be in with him at the number one. Now guys are stepping up into roles that they're not ready for because they're not that. You know what I mean? CD Lamb was the most explosive and the most talented receiver at Oklahoma. But he did the majority of his damage in the slot. Like that, I don't think. I'm not saying that Dak didn't hurt himself, but I don't think Dak's injured. I think Dak is copping up. The writing's on the wall. This is going to be bad because I don't even think Tampa didn't even play that well.
No.
I thought they were kind of going through the motions.
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me
Other than
too.
other than Leonard Fournette running like a madman, I thought that Tampa looked average, and
Listen,
you don't have to look great against that Cowboys offense because it's terrible.
they kicked 4 field goals, and I was like, "Dang, Tampa, Dallas can't score." What happens to that high power offense? My takeaway from that game is, I wish the Eagles would have drafted Michael Parsons. That was my takeaway.
Yeah, he wasting away with that star on his helmet. Man.
Like, he looked like a beast. He is a beast.
Yeah,
But
he definitely is a beast. And there's another beast that I forgot about. Um, one more quick take on the Browns Panthers game.
I
Nick
was
Chubb,
almost, I was almost right.
Kareem Hunt. He was almost, yeah, he was almost right. No
So
takeaways.
my takeaway
No
on it
take
Baker
no
is,
still up.
takeaways, man. That was both again. That's another game that went exactly how I thought it would go. You know, Baker would play well enough to win, but he'd find a way to put him in a position to lose, and that's what he did. His play at the beginning of in the first half put him in a position where they were down, and he tried to make a rally for them to come back, and it ended up coming up short.
I thought Baker did it, man. I thought Baker pulled it out. I ain't gonna lie to you. But
All right. So, one quick underrated sports moment of the week for you guys that you've seen this week that may not many have paid attention to, or may did.
I got two of them. I ain't gonna real quick. Uh, Sixers pick up Montrezl Harrell. A lot of people not talking about it. I think that's gonna be huge for the Sixers. Um, and the WNBA final started on Sunday, which a lot of people not talking about, which we have on our itinerary because we got a lot of football. But to me, it also shows to me how disrespected the WNBA is.
And that was a great game last night too. By the way,
I wish that they had scheduled it on a Tuesday.
it was a great
I
game
think that
last
would
night.
have been huge and better. I don't. You're not going to compete with NFL.
With
I mean,
NFL.
at all. I mean, even preseason ratings was high. So like, you're not
Yep.
gonna. You got underrated sports moment of the week, Biv?
My underrated sports moment of the week is I think Albert Pujols uh, hit his 600th or something like that. home run, or he moved up a notch or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was. I was too in tune with football, so that's why I'm saying it's underrated. But shout out to Albert Pujols. I think he moved up on the all time home run list. So
My underrated sports moment of the week was, it may not be as underrated as most, but I can't even think of the guy's name, but the coach of the Giants, going for two. To me, that was big. It shows to me like he has guts, and that one of the hugest markets. You already know you're either going to get praised or killed for that for a week. And they're already trying to get the taste out of their mouth from Joe Judge and all of that. They're trying to regroup things and whatnot. And I really think that was a major boost morale in the sports of New York, as you get ready for September, October playoff baseball and the Mets and the Yankees. I just really think that that moment helped the culture of New York sports for this week.
Hey,
So final thoughts for everyone.
okay. So my final thought. I got a final thought. Um, Shador Sanders.
Hmm.
He he looks like a problem. Could have been part of the underrated sports moments, but I think a lot of people don't put a lot of stock and pay attention to the HBCUs. Um, but he doing his thing. Um, Jackson State doing their thing. So my final thought is we have to we talk about um, the HBCUs heavy. People got to start paying attention to them. So,
I agree. My final thought. My final thought is shout out to Le'Veon Bell, um, scoring the knockout on all day. Adrian Peterson. Um, it was a pretty good fight from what I seen. So you know, amateur boxing. Who would have thought?
So who would have thought? Um, my final thought for this week was Vegas won this week in college and the NFL. Because if anybody went on their tickets this week, man, or parlays, or listen, you are a true professional gambler. I tell you that. Because a lot of common sense went out the window with some of the stuff that went on this weekend. Um,
Never lied.
but yeah, in the world of the sports, I mean, it's parity, and those Vegas lines definitely make it that way. So we'll be returning next week. Um, I think that we may have spent a little bit too much time on the U.S. Open. No offense, um, but I think that next week we'll try to get it down to an hour. My producer skills and whatnot. I didn't realize how much we have to say on everything. So me with understanding that, I can go forward and we can make this what it is. Um, we need Biv back in control. That's what we need. But until then, um, speak on it. Peace. He
Peace.
he 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 did it, but y'all can't see him though.
I was just about to say.
He's